World Primate Safaris create tailor-made itineraries to track the mountain gorillas in Uganda and Rwanda. I'm here with Craig Kaufman, specialist travel consultant at World Primate Safaris. His specialist areas Uganda and Rwanda. So firstly, as expert in that area, could you talk us through the booking process?
Yeah, I mean, initially I'll take down the potential client's budget and also specific interest, what they're actually interested in seeing, and take it there. I will be the specialist travel consultant all the way from day one to the end of their inquiry.
And beyond the permits, they're obviously quite hard to get hold of or in limited supply. How far in advance would you recommend that somebody starts planning their trip?
Yeah, I mean, in general, I can be booking up safaris up to 2 years in advance. So I would say anything from 6 to 9 months in advance is always a good number.
And how much are the permits?
Permits are $500 per person per trip.
So that's per day?
Yes.
And you'd recommend that people would take how many treks?
I generally recommend 2. The reason being, the first one you tend to be behind your cameras taking a lot of photographs. So the beauty of having a second gorilla trek is that you can actually, put your cameras down and actually see and get a feel for the environment that you're in, and also potentially you can actually get to track a second gorilla group.
Okay. And how many people might there be in a group going out to see the gorillas?
Yeah, maximum of 8 people per gorilla group.
Okay. Having been to Uganda and Rwanda recently and also lived there for a significant period, you were actually a guide there for a long period, weren't you? Could you talk through what to expect from a day of gorilla tracking?
Yeah, I mean, tracking the gorillas, you'd arrive there early in the morning, let me say 7:45. You'd have a briefing by one of the rangers, and then you'd be allocated, particularly in Rwanda, you'd be allocated your gorilla group. And then you start tracking the gorillas. Tracking the gorillas can be anything from a couple of hours up to 9 hours during the day on fairly steep and uneven terrain.
Okay. And is there a conservation aspect to it? How does it work regarding the permits? I assume some of the money goes towards conservation. How do the communities and the gorillas benefit from tourism?
Yeah, I mean, basically you're quite correct in saying that a certain percentage of the gorilla permits does go to the gorillas, conserving the gorillas and developing community projects out in these areas. Whether it's from primary schools, clinics, the money is beneficial to these areas.
Could you tell us about your favourite lodges? You must have a few that you particularly like to recommend, and what kind of itineraries people should really focus on. What's the best way to see as much as possible?
Well, I mean, I like to mix up both Uganda and Rwanda. This way you can get to do a gorilla trek in Uganda and a gorilla trek in Rwanda. Probably, the best lodge that I recommend is Virunga Lodge in Rwanda. 45 minutes outside Volcanoes National Park, stunning 360-degree views of the Virunga volcano chain, and also actually an added benefit of coming back from a gorilla trek and toasting your feet around the log fire. Gorilla Forest Camp in Bwindi Impenetrable, that's in Uganda, is also a fantastic lodge, classed as a luxury lodge, so I definitely recommend that one. In both Uganda and Rwanda you can track the chimpanzees as well, so I wouldn't just focus on gorillas. The great things about these particular destinations, you can do a lot of different wildlife, whether it's from primates, gorillas, chimpanzees, to game animals, lions, elephants, hippos, buffaloes. Bird species, Uganda has over 1,000 species of birds, and of course scenic point of view as well, absolutely stunning.
Finally, could you just summarise your advice to travellers, to people who are thinking about going to see the mountain gorillas?
Yeah, I mean, in summary I would say book at least 6 to 9 months in advance. That way we can then got more chance of getting your gorilla permits on the dates that you're actually interested in. Obviously book with a specialist travel consultant who will deal with you from day one all the way to the end. Responsible travel as well. Deal with a company who's specifically interested in conserving communities and conserving the wildlife as well.
Thank you very much.
Anyway.